Shalom, Israel. We are the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out on 1 West 125th Street in Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohanan. And since 1969, we've been teaching the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are the true Jews of the Bible. I am Priest and Officer of 50 Sha'athwan, having the honor of holding down the class of Priest and Officer 5000 Hazahab. Joining me today is Priest and Officer 5000 Yatzazar. Let's clap it up. Right. Good. You. So today's class is part 2 of last week's class, the fundamentals of the Holy Tongue, the LASHAWAN QADASH. And what we're going to do is review what we did last week and build on top of it. So what we learned, the first thing was just basic English and how it's written. And it is read from left to right. Letters A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. All right, and as we wrote this, this is from left to right. And it was a total of 26 letters. And according to Google AI, the origin of writing from left to right can be traced back to the ancient Greeks, who, after initially writing from right to left, like the Phoenicians, eventually transitioned to a left to right script. So as we did that, we showed last week in the book Biblical Hebrew and Text by Bonnie Padrati Cattell, Vicky Hoffer, and Rebecca Apps-Wright from Yale University, that the Hebrew alphabet is the oldest in the world and still in use today. Our own alphabet is a descendant of it by circuitous root. The text of the Hebrew Bible we use today reflects several periods of development. Originally, only the consonants were used. So, as we learn the basics of the Hebrew characters, we realized that English added vowel kind of sounds of A, E, I, O, and U. So these were extra sounds that were added into the language from our oppressor to make this new script. So Hebrew is written from right to left. And if you remember last week, I gave you a new song to help you remember it. It helped me. So I'm going to show that once again. As it was 5 characters, 5 characters, 5 characters, 3 characters, and 4 characters. So I'm going to write that quickly. And the sounds were A, Ba, Ga, Da, Ha, show that there's 5 characters or letters, so to say, when you actually translate it to the actual symbol. And there's 5 syllables. So they all pretty much have the ah sound. So ah, ba, ga, da, ha. The next sequence was wa, za, ka. And remember, this is as if you got something in your throat, not ka, but ka. Ta, ya. So we have another 5 letters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there's also 5 syllables in that. And how I remembered the sequences, I always remember the first character too. So when I memorized this, I was like, all right, the first sequence starts with an ah. And the second sequence starts with a wa. The third sequence starts with a ka. All right, and this ka is different from ka. So that's a lot of times people say ka for this, and you see it's its own character, so it has its own sound. So it's ka, la, ma, na, sa. And again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 characters with 5 syllables. Okay. Then the next sequence was I, pa, to za. And this was 3 characters or 3 symbols, 1, 2, 3. But in terms of sound or the syllables, taza is just 1, but it sounds like 2. So it's the only character that has 2 syllables of a sound. So it's kind of 1, 2, 3, 4 as far as the song is concerned. All right. And then we have our final sequence, which was kwa, ra, sha, ta. And this was 1, 2, 3, 4 letters or characters or symbols, and also 4 syllables. Kwa, ra, sha, ta. So the song I memorized in this sequence just because I like to count on my fingers, makes it very simple. I also created shorter sequence so I can memorize it. I know that this first sequence starts with ah. I know the second sequence starts with wa. I know the third sequence starts with ka. I know the fourth sequence starts with I. And the fifth sequence starts with kwa. So as I remember this and put this whole thing together, I memorized each section at a time. So it just helped me get this down. Now, there's many ways of doing this. This is what we did last week. This week, I'm going to show you a different approach. It's not right or wrong. It's whatever you feel comfortable with, whatever you like to actually, whatever helps you to memorize it. So to show you a new one now. So another way of memorizing this is like a phone number. You know, a phone number is typically, you dial a 1 first, you know, if you're in the United States, 1, then you dial the next 3 characters, which is the area code. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. So that's typically a phone number, and you see it's actually 11 numbers. Now, some people have really good memory, and they can memorize phone numbers and host, 11 characters at a time. So you can see it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it's 11 numbers. So if you can do this, and this is easier for you, you can use this approach to memorize the letters. So since there are 22 letters in the Hebrew, what we could do is 2 rows in the Hebrew. So it would be A, Ba, Ga, Da, Ha, Wa, Za, Ka, Ta, Ya, Ka. So that's 11. And let's do the next 11. La, Ma, Na, Sa. I, Pa, Za, Qua, Ra, Sha, Tha. So if this is easier for you to memorize, and you can remember it like this, you can use this approach. So this is our 22 characters, and we split it up by 11 and 11. So your first sequence is A, Ba, Ga, Da, Ha, Wa, Za, Ka, Ta, Ya, Ka. The next sequence of 11 is La, Ma, Na, Sa, I, Pa, Ta, Za, Qua, Ra, Sha, Tha. So this is just another way of looking at it, another way of memorizing it. Once you get the sounds down, this is the most important thing, just learn the sound. Trying to learn the symbols will come in time, but since we all know English, this is usually an easier approach to start learning. That's how I do it. So we could get into the symbols again. That's a recall. Now, the scripture, Matthew 15:24, but he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. I mentioned last week, it almost sounds like a sheep kind of sound. We are the lost sheep. So we're learning a very simple language that a sheep in a way can speak. Ah, ba. And you hear the ah sound through every single character. Okay? So what we're going to do now is review it in a different format table. using the 11-11 approach. So what we're going to do, all right, 11 characters going down, and then another 11 characters going down. So this is a review, but at the same time, it's a different way of physically seeing it. So the more times you see it, or the different perspectives you have, it helps you eventually memorize this. And then you can choose whichever version works best for you. So the first character in the ancient is the ah. Okay. And then the Assyrian is the ah there. And the sound was space Allah was the word, the full word. The sound was ah. It's pronounced ah. It's pronounced ah. Or Allah, which was cat. Next, we have the ba. So that's the ba sound. And the ba is the letter B. And in the Syrian, looks like that. Ba. And that is short for bayat, which is a tent. Okay. The next we have is the ga. Which is the camel. So you see how it has the camel neck. And this is the ga. And it stood for Gamal. It's short for Gamal. Camel. Next we have the da. Da. Okay. And the da symbol was the triangle in the ancient. And the modern, like one line across, like a little squiggly on the right side. And that was short for the loth, which is door. Okay. Next, we have the ha. And the ha looks like that backwards looking F. And in Assyrian, to draw it, use the same as the Daloth initially. So you do this. I want to make sure you guys can see my actual writing. So do this, that. So far they look the same. Then you add another little squiggly line underneath it. So I'm like making little S's in a way, so to say. This is very important that you see that there's a space here, because there's another character that we went over that this is sealed. And that's what represents a different character. So these are the little subtleties when learning the Assyrian. So the ha was short for na, which is behold. All right. Next we have is the wa. So it's like a U, a line down. And then slanted line and a line straight down for the Assyrian. And this was the wa sound. And it's short for the wa, with an extra W. And it's the fish hook. Let's see how this looks like a fish hook. You catch a fish. That's where that comes from. Next we have is the za. And the za is just the letter Z as we have in the English. And then in the Assyrian, it's kind of a squiggly on top and kind of a squiggly going down. So that's how we do the za, which is short for Zion, which is weapon. Next, we have the ka. So that's our C-H-A-A sound. And this was a fence. So remember, it looked like 2 lines down. And then 1, 2, 3. So that's how you remember it's a fence. And this character in the Assyrian looks like this one, but it's closed. So first, do the same step as you did in Zaloth. Do 1 line across, squiggly down, and then you also do a squiggly down on the other side. So this is now closed. This one's open, and this is fully open like a door. So you can see how the language progressed. At first, it looks all similar, but the subtlety differences is what's the characters form unique letters. Ka was short for kawa ma, which was the fence. Next, we have the ta, which was the basket. So this was drawn as an X with a circle around it. So if you had a basket and you're looking from the top down, it looks like a basket. And that's the bottom of the basket. Or the top lid of the basket.
The water no Balthazar. Big shout out to Balthazar, Weiss. Shalom,
Shalom, sir. So in the Assyrian, it's another basket. Oh, squiggly up top. So this is like a side view of the basket. And it's short for ta na a. Tana'a. And that's basket. Okay. Next, we have the ya sound, which is Y-A. The ya sound. And this is a sideways Z And then you add an extra, oops. So that's what the yod is. And symbol in the Assyrian is, you draw it down. This is the shortest one as far as height is concerned. You'll see full-size letters, and then this is the first one that you see is actually short. So it's like half the size or so. And it's short for yod, which is hand. Next, we have the ka sound. This is like a letter K. K, A, ka. And this was a unique character in the Assyrian because it has two versions of it. So this is the first one you can see of that. But first, the symbol in the ancient is just like letter C, and then like a V on the side. So it's almost like a K kind of flipped around. You see it. So that's the ancient. And the modern version is also the C. This is the first time, meaning anytime it's used throughout a word, you always use this version. But if it appears at the end of a word, it's a different symbol. So it's like a line going across. Notice this character is also longer than any other character. So whenever you're writing these, the ka sound, meaning this ka appears at the end of a word, you would use this, and it's identifiable when you read it because it's just really long. So you see this is the first one that sticks out, and it's really, really long. And this word is really ka, which is your palm, or spoon. Like the palm of your hand. Okay. So this is the first sequence of 11. Abagadaha wasakataya. So that's the first set. Next, we're going to do the next set of 11. Now we do the la. So the la, space. So the la. Okay. Was in the ancient the letter L. And in the modern, I want you to see me actually writing this. It looks like a slanted curve. It's got a lip like a slanted curve. And that was short for Lamad. Which is learn. That's we are learning the alphabet right now. Next we have the ma. And the ma was like the upside down M as we draw it. So it's looks like almost like a W in a way when you're doing it from this angle. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. So right now, kind of looks like a W, but then you do a slant like a J underneath it. So it goes like this. So that's your ma. And in the Assyrian, there's two versions. Just like over here, you have one when you use it throughout, you start a sentence, use throughout the sentence or a word. But if it's at the end of the word, there's a different symbol. This is the same thing with the ma. And this one is drawn like this. We go up, down. So it's almost like a droplet in a bucket. And there's a space there. Let's just say that missing space, well, we added up here. So it has an extra tingling piece. So that's your ma. Now, at the end of the word, it's fully closed. It's a little bit more squarish, the character. But as I draw it, you'll see I go cross, down, left, up, and then I go on an angle to close it. So it's fully closed. It's more squarish. This is more roundish. This has a hook on the end. So that's the ma. And that's short for mayam, which is water. Next, we have the na. Which is the NA sound. Similar to the formation of the ma, it's like, if you see here, you got like a V in a way. So 1, 2. So if you see like the W sound in a way, it was like it's a V and a V, double V, double U. You just do the same thing. 1, 2. Okay, so it's just the first part. And then that letter J piece goes down like that. Now the Assyrian has also two characters. For the first one is drawn like the wa initially here. So we're going to do this angle, then down. And the difference now is that we're just going to go to the left with another line. Now it's also shorter, all right, so it's not as wide as, like, say, the other characters, so it's a little bit smaller. And the secondary character is also shorter, and then appears long. So in a way like the cop, but notice the cop is really, really like twice as wide in a way. This is like shorter. This you see at the end of a word. If the na sound is used throughout the word anywhere else, you use this symbol for the Assyrian. And na was short for one, which was sprout. Next, we have the sa sound, which is the S-A, sa. And the symbol for the sa in the ancient is a straight line down, and then 3 lines going across. So I might be a little crooked. It's angled right now, but I'm trying to want you to see the characters, but you get the gist of it. If this is completely straightened. I'm just trying to move on the side because one thing when I started learning these, it was very helpful for me if I saw someone physically write the characters. So what I'm going to do is, because it's a little crooked, now I'm going to draw it a little bit straighter by just going underneath it here. That's the sa sound. And in the modern version, looks similar to an O, but there's a lip on the end of it. So start from the left, make like an O kind of shape, and come around. So there's a little lip at the end. And the sa was short for samak, which was established. Next, we have the I sound. Okay. And this was, in the ancient, just a regular circle. So it looks like your eyeball. That's why your eye is a circle. And in the modern, it's almost like 1, 2, 3, squiggly on the side to connect it, squiggly on top. So it's almost like the letter Y. And that was for ayan, which is I. Then we have the pa sound. And this was pa in the mouth. And when we draw the ancient, it's like the side of your mouth you're seeing right here. So it's 1 over, down almost like a J in a way. That's the pa sound. Now, the modern version has 2 variances, and it's one to use throughout, like this, one to use at the end of the word. So it's 2 variants. So now, the first one looks like a G backwards. So it's 1, 2, up. Looks like a G backwards, flipped upside down, something like that. All right. And the next one, do the same motion for the end of the word 1. So it's 1, 2. Then you do it going straight down. So this appears at the end of words. This is, you can use in the front, middle, but this is the end. Next, we have the taza. Okay. This was drawn, this is side, so this was tazad, and it's the side. So if you think of somebody that's side view of a man or woman, and it's drawn as 1 line down, and then like a Z. So that's the ancient. And in the modern, it's drawn like almost kind of like a Y looking, but that's what it looks like. And then lowercase y, and then a longer version. Remember, this is going to appear at the end of word, and then it comes up. So at the end of words, it's a different character in the modern, and it's always longer. Next, we have the qua, which is short for quam. That's rise. So think a sunrise. We have a line there, then here's a sun, then a line down. So it looks like the letter Q in a way, if you rotate it. And then the modern version, line down, then you go over, curved. You put that together there. It's almost like this secondary part is like the lamade up here. See how it's got that same curvature kind of deal? So you're kind of doing something similar. So you're going across, making that curvature coming down. So that's what that one is. Now we have the ra. That was short for ash. Ra, ash. And that was the head. And this was in the ancient, like the number 4. And think that this part is like the top part of the head, and then that's like the body or the neck over here. And then the modern, it's like the letter R. Goes down, it's across and down. So it's like the letter R. Then we have the sha. That was short for shan, which was tooth. And this is the one that looks like the fangs. So the letter W. It looks like the fangs for your tooth. And the modern version is a bit more curved. And a little squiggly, squiggly, squiggly. So it's also similar to a W. And the last one was tha. Which is short for tha, which is your mark. I like to remember it as X marks the spot. Looks like a long version, a shorter version, almost like a cross in the ancient. And in the modern, you start off by doing the same thing as you did as the ra sound. So you go across, down, then you add another one on this side. And that right there is your alphabet in the ancient and the Assyrian. Right. I'm going to take a picture of this, so you might want to take a picture of this yourself.
Take a screenshot of this of the alphabet for your record.
Okay. 8 o'clock. Another hour to go.
Got this.
All right.
Got this, Bruce.
Oh, sorry, Chris. Any questions at all?
If you have any questions, put them in the chat. We should. There's more people in here. No questions so far. There's a question.
This question?
If there is one, I'll notify you.
All right. Nice clean board, because we're in a whole new section I'm going to teach you. Now that we reviewed this, we're going to go a little deeper into the light. Next, we're going to learn prepositions and possessive adjectives. Okay. What is a preposition? And what's a possessive adjective? Hebrew is a unique language in that when you form words, there's pieces before the word, there's the actual word itself, and there's a piece afterward. So, they're not all written like this, but this is the basic foundation. You have one, a preposition. Think of the word pre, which means it goes before. A root. So there's always a root word in the Hebrew. And sometimes there's a preposition that goes before it. Second would be the word, which is the root. And then third would be a possessive adjective. And that goes after a word. And it's written when we write from right to left. First one happens, the second one happens, and then the third one happens. So many times when you're learning Hebrew or reading it, you're going to see big words. They actually all combined as the letters. Usually you have the root is in the middle. This right here would be the preposition. This right here would be the possessive adjective that follows after. So, what are examples of prepositions? Okay. These go before a root word. The preposition would be the ah sound. So if you see this ah sound, and it's before the word, so this is your ah, the ancient, and then the ah in the modern. So you see that in the very, very front, that actually stands for I or I am. Next we have ba. The ba sound is our letter here. Ba. And then the modern ba is in. So if a word starts with ba, it could be it's a preposition, and it's really the word in. Next we have the da. And the da is again the triangle in the ancient, and it's short for door. And I drew the door in the modern. It's a line across, a squiggly line down. Okay, this actually could stand for do. So if you see a da at the start of a word, that could mean do. Then we have ha. And ha sound like this. And the ancient. And in the modern, drawing just like the da at first. Cross, squiggly, and then another squiggly, and it's a space in between it. And that is the word for the. Next we have is wa. Wa symbol, the ancient, the U, the line down, and then an angled line, and a straight line down. That was the wa sound. And that actually is and. So if a word starts with the wa, it could be a preposition, and it means and. Then we have ya, which is YA. And the ya symbol, that's the Z on a slant, and then that line going across. And then the modern, just like that. It's the smallest symbol that you see. That actually could go for he. So if a word starts with ya, it actually can mean he. That's a preposition.
Speak up.
Okay. Next we have ka. The ka sound. So the ka in the ancient, up, the B connected to it. So it's almost like the flipped around kind in a way. And in the modern, was the cup going this way. Now, because this is at the beginning of a word, we're just going to use this symbol. Now, remember, ka has two different symbols in the modern, but we're talking about if it's the first part of a word. So this will be the symbol we use. Remember, ka had that also, but we're talking about a preposition, so it's at the first of the word. So this one won't be used at the start. So it'll be this symbol for ka. And that stands for like. Then we have the ma. And the ma symbol in the ancient, what's that? And ma had two different characters too, but we are using the very start of a word. So we're only going to use this. Because it's in the beginning of the word. That ma is of. Next, we have sha. The sha symbol is our W. And then the modern is that. And this is the word for pertain. And we have ba. And in the ancient, this symbol. And then in the modern, it's that. And this could mean she or future tense. So these are the prepositions that you'll see that all go before a root word. Next, what we're going to do is possessive adjectives, that go after a word. So prepositions is before, and possessive adjectives go after. So first one we'll learn is Nawa. And we'll do this one right here. Na wa. Okay, and this is actually two characters. It's the na and the wa. So it would be na in the ancient, and then the wa. So that's nawa. And in the modern, the na, and then the wa. Nawa. And nawa is actually our or us. So if you see this, nawa, the end of a word, it can mean our or us. Now we have the ha again. And the ha at the beginning of the word be the, but a ha at the end of a word could be her. And the ha is this in the ancient, and that in the modern. Next, we have the wa. Same symbol over here. The wa. Except now we're using it at the end of the word. And when it appears at the end of the word, it can mean his. So in the ancient again, wa. And in the modern, wa. The end. Then we have also ya again. So the ya the ya in the ancient, the ya in the modern could actually mean my. So when you see ya at the end of a word, it could be my. Next we have is ka. The ka symbol, before, at the beginning of the word, it's like. Same symbols here. So we draw it like this. The ka, then the modern version, the ka. And at the end of the word, it can be your. But sometimes you also see it as you. So when you see this at the end of the word, it's either your or you. Now we also have two other versions for your. One's a masculine version and one's a feminine. So depending on the context as you're reading it, if you see it written this way, you know you're talking about a masculine or feminine your. So here we have calm. So K-A-M. So it's an extra character here, and it's your, but this will be the masculine. Plural.
So I'm gonna have to make that kind of big. Or just put out like male, because you got a male and female words, right?
Yep.
I have to make that a little bigger to be able to see that. Masculine, can't really see that.
Right.
You can make it big, make it big.
Okay. S-C-U-L-I-N-E. Masculine.
And it's perfect.
Is that better? All right. And this is for plural. Okay. And calm is two letters. It's the K and the M. So when you see this, in the ancient, calm. You see these two characters at the end of a word, it's your in the masculine form. And in the modern version, it would be the K. M. So when you see this in the Assyrian, the CM at the end, the KM at the end, it's calm. It can actually mean your masculine. Now in the feminine,
So, just on the ancient, just to make sure they know that come is a connected, so they know that's, you know what I mean? The ka and the ma is connected. So when they write in the ancient, they know those is the connectors,
okay,
not individual, because once it's
I'm
not
gonna get into
connected,
that right now. We haven't discussed connectors yet. That's the next thing on this lesson. But what a connector is since we're now seeing two words for the first time in this class. A connector is when you have two letters and it goes together in sound. So it sounds like one sound. It's not ka and ma, it's kam. So it connects the letters. In the case of nawa, I'm actually saying nawa, not noah. How we do the separate would be na wa. So this is the very first time. Appreciate that, Breeze.
No, for the camera. Should be on the camera when you explain.
Can you see me?
Yeah, camera when you explain. Perfect.
So this is the first time we are learning connectors because we're seeing two letters being used to represent a word. And when you have na wa, it's two syllables. So we put an upside down under the N and an upside down under the wa, so it's pronounced na wa. Now, if I did this, connected it like that, smiley face, that would be no, but doesn't pronounce that way. So the connectors, this is how we have in our ancient language. Connectors are used to make things clear and you can clarify what they are. So when you're writing the ancient, then when you see these underneath, it just makes it very clear how to pronounce the word. So kam sounds like one syllable. So you have a connector like an upside down or a smiley face to connect the two letters. Next, we have the feminine of your, and it will be kan. So that would be K-A-N. Now, as we learn Hebrew, a lot of times you'll see words that end the M is masculine and the N is feminine. It's like when we say a thumb, that's masculine plural. When we say a thon, that's feminine because it's the N. So this would be your and this will be feminine. Plural. And this will be kan. So in the ancient, ka, n, kan. And the connector will be connecting this two. So you know how to pronounce it as one syllable. So this is pronounced kan. It's not pronounced kana, because if there was kana, it'll be a connector that way and a connector that way. That would say kana, but this is kan, one syllable. So therefore, it's the smiley face to connect the two letters. And in the modern, it would be ka. And this is at the end of a word now. So the N is the shortened one. It's not as wide as the ka before you saw. Oh, sorry. This one's actually the longer piece. It's a little bit longer. And it's longer down here. So I'll show you. Okay. So the con is almost as wide as the other characters, and it's longer than all the other characters. So you'll see this at the end of the word. Next we have which will be HAM. That's hum. This appears, it's there. And it also is masculine. I'm just going to abbreviate this time, MASC, so it's just nice and big. Here's your full spelled out masculine, just MASC, and it's the plural. And it looks like ha, which is the ha, and then the M. Hum, but how do you know that? Because right now they're just two letters. It might be hama. That would be two different syllables, but it's pronounced hum. So therefore, a connector would be connecting these two. So it's one syllable, hum. And in the modern, I'm trying to draw it so you can see it at the same time. All right, it's our ha, and that ha is opened. So you have another squiggly, and that's an open space in between it. Because this is at the end of a word, the N sound is closed. So it's fully closed, and there's a little lip on the end. And that will be hum. So you don't know in the modern, the really pronunciation as obvious as if you're written in the ancient, because this says connect these two letters. But once you know this, you'll recognize that when you do see these two letters at the end of a word, it could be hum, which means there. And now for the feminine version, just like we had hum and con, it's going to be hum and hun. So that would be HAN. Hun. And that's there. And just to save space, I'm just going to put FEM, short for feminine and plural. Han. And we draw it. We got the ha here again, just like up here. Ha. Then we draw the N. Han. And we know it's Han because we're going to put a connector between them. If we didn't have the connector, you might think it says Hana. But when we have the connector, it makes it obvious that it's Han. And in the modern, Got the ha. And then because this appears at the end of a word, it might look similar to this, but it's just shorter, the top part. So it's like, so this one, like when you're reading this, you know, the very first time, it's like, hey, these characters are the same. You'll eventually recognize that one is really wide, one is like half the size in width, and that stands for the letter N, because this happens at the end of the word. So you might want to take a screenshot of this right now. Take one. And these are our prepositions, before and after. Are there any questions at all, sir?
No questions. No questions at all.
Okay, the water. Now what I'm going to give you is just a few examples. So what I'm going to show you is, I'm going to show you this one here. I'm going to show you the ah. I'm going to show you the ya. And I'm going to show you the ka. So in these examples, I'm going to show you when this appears before a word, an ah and the ya. And I'm going to show you the ka when you see it after. Wait, this is very important. I just saw I made a mistake. This appears after. What is this symbol? Well, if this was a normal language, you just have one letter, but you don't. For the ka, there's two different letters in the modern. So that needs to be replaced with that. Now, these are the tricky things of learning the language. Now, I did this on purpose because I wanted to see if anyone was paying attention on this. Okay, so this is appearing now at the end. And I'm going to take a new picture. So you saw the before and the after. And this is things that you need to pay close attention to when learning the Assyrian. Any questions yet? We're good. Time check, 8:40. Okay. All right, I'll give you these class examples. So again, we're going to use some words with the ah, the ya, the ka. Here's some examples. I am HEADUATERS, and I am from the tribe of Ephraim. So Ephraim, in the English, is EPHRAM. That's the English translation of it. And then the Hebrew, it's Ah, Pa, Ra, Yum. Now I'm sounding it out that way, just so you can hear the individual letters. It's actually Parium, but I want you to see that these are actually separate letters here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you that Ah, I'm just going to do a space just so you can see it and how you're learning it. Aparayam. I'm just doing this because I want to focus on the Ah. Okay. And that Ah sound happens at the beginning of the word. So since it's at the beginning of the word, Ah is equal to, in this case, I am. Okay. The root word, you can see, is par, and that's fruit. So this is essentially saying, I am fruitful. That's what Ephraim stands for. So I am, it happened at the beginning of the word. Now we're seeing it in English here, but I'm going to write it in Hebrew now. Okay. So if we put these letters, it will be Ah, Pa, Ra, Ya, But how do we know how that's pronounced? We use our connectors. Ah, Pa, Ra, Yum. Aparium. And because this is the first thing here, that stands for the I am. And in the modern version, it'll be Ah, Pa. See this? Ra, Ya. And then the M, remember there's two different characters. This is appearing at the end of the word. Apart. And this is the first Ah. So Ah. I. So that's the I. Next, in Genesis 25, verse 26, the verse read, and after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. So I'm going to show you now Jacob. Now in the English, it's Jacob. Okay. In the Hebrew, it's pronounced in the letters. Let me just draw the letters first. Yah, I, Quab. Now, there's our English. Now we got the Yah. Okay, so now that you have the Yah, we're going to say this is equal to, and how it's pronounced is Yah, I, and I'm doing this purposely so you can see it. I'm going to show you the connector on that. It's actually pronounced Yai Quab. So that's like connected. Okay. That's equal to, the Yah is equal to he. Remember, because the Yah is appearing at the beginning of a word, it's he, heal. He heal. Now, just so you can see it, you have to really write it in the Hebrew. You know, that's English, but we're going to actually write it. So again, from right to left, these characters. So let's see. We got the Yah. This is the modern version right here. We got the I. Yah, I. Then the Quab. So there's the Q. And then we have the B. So it's Yai Quab. This Yah right here, it's at the beginning of the word, it's actually heal. Now, I Quab is actually equal to heal. So this part is equal to heal. So essentially his name means something. He healed. And as he took a hold on Esau's heel, and that's where his name was formed from. Now, Yah, let's see. Yah, I is what? It's a circle. Yai. Let's see something else. This I want to point out to you again as we do this. This right here is the Hebrew alphabet. So when you're in class, make sure you grab one of these things, because what it does, it'll show you in the top row from here, you see the ancient from left to right, and then you'll see the English letters down below. And this middle one, you'll see the modern on the first row. And on the second row, right here, you'll see the words that appear, or the characters, how they appear at the end of the word. And this last row, this is just someone's writing about it, or handwriting. So what's preserved in the like Tanakh or so, you'll see it's actually in these characters. So let's see if we can figure this out on the fly here. Yah, that's the Yah sound. I, that's a circle. Qua, that would be that sunrise symbol. Yah, qua, and then the B, the ba. Yai, qua. Now, how do we know it's actually pronounced that way? It's because our connectors. Yai, quab. So like when I first learned this, because this is how I was reading, I was saying Ya, I, quab. But it's actually Yai. And if we were in the ancient, we had our connectors, it'll be obvious what it is, because that connects. It says that is now one syllable instead of two, so it's Yai, quab. And the lesson of this was that this Ya happens at the beginning of the word, and it stands for he. And now let me show you a possessive adjective that appears after. Jacob was renamed to Israel. Actually, this is another preposition I'm going to show you first. I wanted to give you a couple more examples. What does Israel stand for? It's equal to Yah, just like this one. The first letter is the Yah. Shar, Allah. Yah, Shar, Allah. This says he is the prince of power. Now, there's no word is in the Hebrew, but that's what the translation comes out to be. So he, prince, Allah, power. Yah, Shah, R, Shar, Ah, and Allah. Ya, shar, Allah. But this ya is also at the beginning of the word. We know it means he. Take ya in the modern, the ancient. Ya, shar, at the sha, and the r. Ya, shar, so these are connected together. Ya, shar, Allah. Allah. And we know it's separate because of our connectors. Ya, shar, Allah. And the ya is the he. And let me give you a adjective then. So one that comes after. Since we're working with names, I'm going to teach you your name. So if we say your name, that would be equal to Sham, which is name. Because it appears at the end of a word, the ka, that's your. So we got name and your. So this right here is an example of an adjective because the ka at the end of the word is your. And you can see this sha, m, sham. So that right there is name. Ka. Now, because this appears at the end of the word, this is the real long one. It goes wide across and long down. So that's sham ka. This ka, because it's at the end of the word, is equal to your. And ancient, the sha would be sha. The m would be sham. So that sham is name. Then we add the ka. At the end. And we know this is sham. So that's one syllable. And the ka is on its own. And that ka is the your. That will be the end of the lesson. Is there any questions at all? That's it, sir. That's a wrap. That's where I'm ending it today. That's all I have. So if there's no questions, I'm going to take a picture of this. This is now a good point for you to take a picture as well. So you have some examples to work with. All right. $9:01. I'm good. 1 minute.